Welcome to Banfield. If you have ever stepped inside an American courtroom, there is a reverence like no other place. It's conservative and it's formal, and you really do have to be on your best behavior. So chewing on topics like sex, drugs, and rock and roll, that's kind of out of the ordinary. And it makes everybody go silent, and it turns a lot of heads. And incidentally, that's exactly what happens when a guy like this, Johnny Depp, walks through the doors up to the stand and puts his hand on the Bible. Could have heard a pin drop when that happened in Virginia today. Johnny Depp is in court by choice. He is the guy that's doing the suing here, and the case is messy, it's sleazy, it's dirty, it's ugly, and it's violent. He's accusing his ex-wife of defaming him by writing things about domestic violence that she says were unpleasant and downright abusive. That ex-wife is a movie star too. There she is, Amber Heard, 23 years his junior, and already very practiced at the art of testifying, because she had to do it 2 years ago in the UK when Johnny Depp took a newspaper to court saying that they were lying about him too. But today on the stand, a preview of their story, or should I say, their nightmare.
If she wanted to go to bed, I'd say, oh, well, I can't sleep, right now. And rather than go and just lay in a bed and stare at the ceiling, I would say, I'll just watch, I'll be out here watching TV or hanging out. And that was just not acceptable. Just not acceptable. It would stir up some rather unusual reactions from her. I didn't understand why I, as a 50-something-year-old man, was not allowed to go to sleep when I wanted to, as opposed to when she wanted to.
So here's where the case gets a bit tricky. Johnny is suing Amber because of the op-ed that she wrote for the Washington Post. She wrote about being a survivor of sexual and domestic violence, but, and it is a big but, she never specifically named Johnny in the piece. Case closed? No, not really, because it was the timeline that made it pretty clear that Johnny Depp was the subject of what she was saying. Johnny says that Amber used that op-ed in the Washington Post to advance her career and to derail his. And he denies ever abusing Amber. But he has had a pretty bad run with people believing him in the last couple of years. He lost that case in the UK. He has been dropped from several big-budget movie franchises, and his press coverage has been disastrous. And now he's suing Amber for more than $50 million. And not to be outdone, Amber has also countersued Johnny. Joining me now in this very modern-day War of the Roses is Caitlyn Becker. She's an Emmy Award-winning journalist and the LA correspondent for DailyMailTV. Okay, Caitlyn, this is just such a spectacle. It was a spectacle in the UK. Throngs of people showing up, throwing epithets at Amber and cheering on Johnny. So what happened in Virginia? Same story, different country?
It was a wild day. I mean, of course, Ashleigh, people are going to show up. You have one of the biggest movie stars in the entire world who's been around for decades taking the stand to talk about a really messy marriage to another movie star. As you said, in addition today, Johnny Depp went into great detail about the abuse that he suffered as a child under the hands of his mom. But it was interesting. It wasn't exactly what I expected. As you heard from that clip, he was so slow in speaking. He was almost moving backwards, super docile, almost sloth-like on the stand. His answers kind of meandered. So I think maybe what people were expecting, maybe fireworks, explosions, is just not what we got.
So he admitted on the stand, and I agree, it was a weird Johnny Depp, one I had not seen before. Almost Xanaxed, right, on the stand. So he admitted to his drug use. He actually said he started using drugs at age 11. He said he was hooked on opioids after hurting himself on the Pirate movie set. And a lot of people were sort of wondering, where is he going with all this backstory of abuse in his family? And none of that has anything to do with defamation. Was he trying to get to the jury to make them, sympathetic to him?
Certainly from my perspective, I think that is a little bit of what's happening. I think that what you saw today with Johnny Depp when he answered a lot of those questions about his past drug use, he talked about the term partying and that he's never used that term before and that he never did drugs to party or have a good time, to have that sort of wild celebrity lifestyle. What I think we heard today and what the picture that was being painted for the jury, Ashleigh, is a sad little boy who was abused by his mom, who turned to drugs in order to cope. And then that is how he grew up. And that, I think, is the version of Johnny Depp that certainly I think his team wanted the jury to see. And I also think that kind of goes to the affectation that he had. As you said, he was like, super slow. It was very strange. This idea that someone that docile couldn't possibly rage out, couldn't possibly fly off the handle. It feels like these things were all done in a way to really paint him in this very sort of sad, damaged, and calm light to the jury.
Like, depicting himself as a victim, because that's what he's trying to say. I have been the victim of defamation. She has said things about me that aren't true. So for anybody who didn't see what happened in the UK, and there's no cameras in the courtroom there, so this is really a spotlight on the depictions of what they say on the stand, and they're both actors. So that's really hard for a jury to watch an actor who could be doing anything and be convincing of it, right? And the same with her. She hasn't hit the stand yet. But what do you make of how he performed? Because it seemed like there was a lot of drama coming from the stand today.
There was a lot of drama coming from the stand, and it was all done in this very tamped down and subdued way. It was very, very strange. Some of these really explosive moments when he talked about his opioid addiction, when he talked about the disturbing kind of quirks in their marriage. He told a story about Amber getting upset that he wouldn't let her take his boots off himself when he came home. Very strange stuff. Kind of got lost in a little bit of the quiet. And I wonder if that was by design so that maybe we weren't honing in on it, but we were. I mean, we learned a lot about their relationship, and he oddly was very complimentary towards her and how they met on the set of Rum Diary and how he really fell for her, and their first kiss, which was in a scene, felt very real. And then he sort of painted it as she very much, turned into a completely different person in their relationship. And I do feel like he angled himself in this more positive light, in a very damaged, child, that sort of wounded child who grows up. And if you can't do that on direct examination with your own lawyers, then you can't do that. So I think he is doing sort of a good job, but we'll see how that shifts. Everything changes when the other team gets up there.
It changes, because this is the easy part. Getting up on the stand with your own lawyer, lobbing the softballs at you to make you look as sympathetic as possible. It all changes when Amber's lawyer gets a crack at him and the cross-examination starts. Okay, so I got to ask you about the names, though, because it's not just these two celebrities that are involved in this case. In the UK case, we heard about Elon Musk, because Johnny thought that Amber was having an affair with Elon Musk, and James Franco, who she was in a movie with, he thought that she was having an affair with James Franco. And then Paul Bettany, the actor, who had some just revolting emails back and forth with Johnny Depp about what they wanted to do to Amber Heard, how they wanted to murder her and burn her. And I mean, it was awful. I mean, Paul Bettany is probably devastated that he ever wrote any of that stuff, because it came back to burn him. When are we going to maybe see all these other celebrities walking in and taking a side of either of these two?
Ashleigh, they are listed as potential witnesses, so I don't know if we're going to see any of them. And they also are listed as video links. So it's very unlikely that we're going to see any of these people actually walking into the courtroom and taking the stand in this sort of dramatic fashion that we were able to see with Johnny Depp. It's much more likely that they're going to come in via video. But in these instances, as you mentioned, there was the two alleged affairs with James Franco and Elon Musk. Those are said to have happened while she was still married to Johnny Depp. There are text messages, there are photos, there's circuit TV footage of her and Elon looking kind of close and cozy. In one alleged text message, he offered to get her security protection when she was seeking a restraining order against Depp. So all of those things could come out. And as you said, those messages between Paul Bettany and Johnny Depp could come into play as well. He actually addressed an earlier message that we heard from another witness about wanting to throw Amber's rotting corpse in the back of a trunk. And Johnny Depp on the stand today tried to kind of play it off in this, I was in the heat of the moment, I'm expressive with my words. He evoked Hunter S. Thompson a lot and how Hunter S. Thompson sort of wrote, and it was a strange pivot, but he did say that he was ashamed of speaking like that. And
as he should be. The stuff that I read in that UK trial was repulsive, and it made me hate him for a hot minute there.
Yeah,
okay,
gross.
so look, it's a scorched earth thing, if you ask me. What I saw in the UK trial was a disaster for his brand, for her brand, from which they could never return. And I thought that this Virginia business was a dumb idea if he ever wants to reclaim his good name, because all he's doing is just dragging it all through the mud all over again. Hey, Caitlyn, thanks. I appreciate it. I'm going to check in with you on a regular basis to see what, because I think she's going to take the stand pretty soon, too.
Absolutely.
So there's more to come. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.